This is the deadliest 30 seconds in aviation history. August 12, 1985. Japan Airlines Flight 123 has been in the air for just 12 minutes. Suddenly, alarms are blaring, and the sound of rushing air is everywhere. A captain's voice cuts through the absolute chaos. Hydro all no good. Then, complete silence. It's the evening of August 12, 1985, and Tokyo's Haneda Airport is an absolute madhouse. This is the start of Obon, a massive Japanese holiday where everyone travels to honor their families. Thousands of people are cramming onto planes for the short, 1-hour flight from Tokyo to Osaka, and Japan Airlines Flight 123, a massive Boeing 747, is scheduled to make that exact trip, but this isn't just any 747. It's a 747SR short-range special version built to be a workhorse for Japan's insanely busy domestic routes. Think of it like a jumbo jet that acts like a city bus. On board are 509 passengers and 15 crew members. In the cockpit you have a team of total pros. Captain Masami Takahama, a veteran with over 12,000 hours of flight time, is training the first officer Yutaka Sasaki for a promotion. By every possible measure, this is a completely routine flight, the fifth one this plane has made today. At 6:12 p.m. JL-123 takes off. For 12 minutes, everything is perfectly normal. Families are getting comfortable, people are relaxing, and the crew is doing its job. This is a trip that has been made thousands and thousands of times, but this time was going to be different. At 6:24 p.m., as the plane climbs to 24,000 feet, a deafening bang rips through the aircraft. That sound was the beginning of the end. The cabin instantly lost pressure with explosive force. A crazy blast of air tore down the ceiling and shot into the back tail of the 747. This insane event was the failure of the plane's aft pressure bulkhead. That's just a fancy name for the metal wall at the back of the plane that keeps all the air inside. When it exploded, all that air pressure acted like a bomb. It blew the plane's vertical stabilizer, the fin on the tail, completely off, and it severed all 4 of the hydraulic lines. Think of hydraulics like the muscles of the plane. They are what move the controls. Without hydraulic pressure, a pilot's controls are completely useless. You can turn the wheel and push the pedals, but they're not connected to anything. Within minutes, the flight engineer confirmed their worst nightmare. All hydraulic pressure was gone. This marvel of engineering, a 747, had become a 250-ton glider with no possible way to steer. The captain's voice came over the radio, steady, but his message was terrifying, but now on control. For the next 32 minutes, the crew of YAL 123 fought an unbelievable battle against impossible odds. With their controls completely gone, they had to use the only thing they could still control: the thrust of the engines. By blasting the power on one side and cutting it on the other, they tried to steer this massive jet. It was like trying to perform surgery with a sledgehammer. The plane entered a terrifying pattern known as a phugoid cycle, where its nose would pitch way up, and then dive down, gaining and losing thousands of feet at a time. It also started rocking side to side in what's called a Dutch roll, making their fight even more desperate. But the cockpit voice recorder shows these guys were total heroes under unimaginable pressure. "Lower nose," Captain Takahama commanded over and over. "Yes, sir," the first officer would respond, while pulling on useless controls. "Do it with both hands, with both hands," the captain yelled. As they used all of their strength, they kept that plane in the air for 32 minutes after it should have crashed. That feat is so incredible that they later put 4 expert crews in a flight simulator to recreate it. Not one of them could keep the plane flying as long as the crew of YAL 123 did. Inside the cabin, it was absolute terror. Oxygen masks dropped. Flight attendants were yelling instructions. Knowing this was probably the end, passengers started writing final goodbye messages, Izio, on whatever they could find. They were writing notes of love and goodbye to their families. Despite their unbelievable fight, the crew couldn't get the plane back to an airport. They were losing altitude, and they were being pushed straight toward the mountains of Gunma Prefecture. As the plane got closer to the mountains, the ground proximity alarm started screaming, "Pull up, pull up." The crew slammed the engines to max power, trying everything to clear the mountains. The nose pitched up like crazy, but the plane stalled. Captain Takahama's final recorded words were, "It's the end." At 6:56 p.m., 32 minutes after it all began, the right wing of Japan Airlines Flight 123 clipped a mountain ridge. The plane cartwheeled, slammed into a second ridge, and completely disintegrated in a massive fireball. The wreckage was scattered all over the remote slopes of Mount Osu. Because the crash site was so far out, rescue teams didn't get there for nearly 14 hours. A U.S. Air Force helicopter actually saw the crash site just 20 minutes after it happened, but was controversially told to turn back. When Japanese rescue crews finally showed up the next morning, it was a scene of total destruction. It was, and still is, the deadliest single-plane crash in history. But in the middle of all that wreckage, there was a miracle. Rescuers found 4 survivors, all female, who had been sitting in a part of the tail that was somehow still in one piece. They were an off-duty flight attendant, a mom and her 8-year-old daughter, and a 12-year-old girl they found alive in a tree. 520 people, including all 15 crew members, were dead. Survivor testimony later revealed a heartbreaking truth. The sounds of other survivors could be heard in the dark of the night, but the sounds slowly faded away before help arrived. So what caused this catastrophe? The investigation immediately looked at the aft pressure bulkhead they recovered, and what they found was shocking. 7 years earlier, in 1978, this exact same plane had scraped its tail during a landing, damaging that exact part. The repair was done by a team from Boeing. Boeing's own rules said the damaged part had to be fixed with a single, continuous metal plate held on with 3 rows of rivets. Instead, the technicians used to separate plates. This improper repair meant that one single line of rivets was taking all the stress it was never designed for. Over 7 years and more than 12,000 flights, tiny metal fatigue cracks started to grow from that one lazy repair. On August 12, 1985, the bulkhead finally exploded. It wasn't a freak accident. It was human error, a maintenance mistake made years earlier that planted a ticking time bomb in the tail of YAL 100. The story of Japan Airlines Flight 123 is an insane reminder of how a single mistake can lead to an unbelievable tragedy. But it's also a story of incredible heroism and lessons that changed the world. Which aviation disaster do you want us to break down next? Let us know in the comments. And if you find these insane deep dives valuable, please smash that subscribe button. The legacy of JAL 123 is written in the safety rules that keep us all safe in the sky today. This disaster led to massive changes in how planes are maintained and repaired all over the world. Inspections got way more intense, paperwork became super strict, and new rules forced engineers to design planes that could survive damage better. Crew training was also changed to prepare pilots for insane emergencies like losing all your hydraulics. In Japan, this crash is still a deep national scar. In 2006, Japan Airlines opened the Safety Promotion Center. It has actual wreckage from the flight and the passengers' farewell notes on display. It's not there to be sensational. It's there to make sure no one ever forgets what was lost, and to pass those lessons on to every new employee. The 520 lives lost on that mountain were not lost in vain. They were the catalyst for changes that have made flying exponentially safer for every single one of us. The story of YAL 123 is a testament to the crew who fought to the very end, and a memorial to the passengers whose final moments helped build a safer future in the skies.